Soul Garden. Live, love, be.
Good morning. From my smartphone to yours, I'm Castin Love from the Serious Joy Garden Studios in Costa Mesa, California. And this is your Wednesday Namaste Today. Good morning and namaste, and welcome to Namaste Today. I'm your host and spiritual life coach, Christopher Witecki. My modality is psychic astrology, and my personal mission is to stand in my heart and help other people reach theirs. This webisode is for Wednesday, February 17th, 2016, and today the Great Human Walk has reached the peak of step 28, Aquarius. Hello, my friends. Welcome. Thank you so much for logging in. Thank you so much for the comments, people who leave comments on my home site at soulgarden.tv. Thank you. I am so grateful to be of soul service. Today we are manifesting the final frequency of Aquarius, and Aquarius is that subtle vibration that we find that frequents our life. This could be a harmony, a melody, a certain song that we play, and we are putting that out there today. We're finding our place in the universe. We're finding where we belong. And that's what Aquarius consciousness is, the I belong consciousness. You might know it as the law of attraction, the ability to draw in based on your heart's desires. It's also Aquarius consciousness, and what Aquariuses do is kind of know where everything fits and doesn't fit. That makes Aquarius revolutionaries, right? So today we've come to step 28, and let's start by talking about the mood. Today's mood will be sunny and I think sharp and online. I think that's because the sun in the high token of Aquarius with the moon in Gemini makes us all very connected and electric in very high degree. And so everyone's feeling very connected and online. My heart is feeling valuable. My heart is ready to manifest. My heart is ready to make things frequent in my life. And my heart is ready to move on as well. I'm always done at the end of a transit and ready to move on to a new lesson at the end of a transit. I'm definitely feeling that today. I feel connected the first half of the day, but the second half of the day the moon moves into Cancer, and so we'll probably feel a bit moody. It might get cloudy by the end of the day. You might find yourself going introverted and just stirring a lot. Now I'm open to nothing today. Venus is at step 0 Aquarius. I'm open to nothing. I don't really want to talk to anybody. I just want to be connected to myself. I'm thinking about connecting to new frequencies in my life. Mercury is at step 5 Aquarius, so I'm thinking about connecting to those frequencies. And I am making quantum emotional boundary changes in my life. Mars is at step 22 Scorpio, so that's quantum emotional boundaries that are new. So today I'm experiencing the earth. I'm experiencing manifestation. I'm harvesting new love, and I'm harvesting new heartfelt intentions that I set out actually 6 months ago when the sun was in Leo. You probably did too. So today I feel like we are feeling that harvest. It's starting to come in now, the heartfelt things that we were hoping for. So today, I think to bring it around and honor and manifest these frequencies, your joy quest, should you choose to accept it, is to simply love and trust your feelings. Love and trust your feelings. That's what step 28 is. It is I feel, and 8 is I decide. So once you've decided, trust. You've made a commitment. You've decided. Sit back in that decision and trust. So love and trust your feelings today, and it will be so. So let's move on to today's topic, where I'm going to actually wrap up with this Aquarius talk and the United States of Awareness. Today's topic is the United States of Awareness, a re-evolution of democracy. As we get to the edge of Aquarius here, the very edge, I thought I would talk about our own country and where I think things are going, and take a look at some of our country's astrology, just because I believe our country is very much aligned with Aquarian principles. In fact, our country's natal chart, the United States of America, born July 4, 1776, gives us a very high degree moon in Aquarius. That means that the citizens of our nation all feel very much like the New World, or you could say feel very much like the Old World of Atlantis or whatever ancient civilization one might believe in. So there's this cosmic energy to the United States, and here's where in the final degrees of Aquarius, I thought it would be interesting to talk about the United States and the United States karma. I open up Aquarius with this discussion, and I'm going to close Aquarius with this as well, because I think it's fascinating. A lot of people ask my opinion. We have people running for president right now, so it's a very important thing. So first of all, let's pose the 5 o'clock question to you, something to ponder today in a very national way. Why do you think the United States is important to the world truly? Why do you think the United States is important to the world truly? And the follow-up, what is your role in those United States? What is your role? So for me, why do you think the United States is important to the world? Well, I'll say as a spiritual sensei, I believe that the United States represents in this world probably the most freedom to believe in any God you want to believe in. Up until now, religions were tied to states. In fact, religions are still tied to states in the Muslim world, and that's part of the issue here. The United States of America separated church and state, said you can have any God you want. It's not the state's business to get interfere with God. So in that sense, I really think the United States is one of the most evolved spiritual nations in the sense it has the rights for evolved spirituality. Now, I think with those privileges, people have taken those freedoms everywhere they want, and there's of course extremes, there's liberal, there's all the whole scale of the United States. But in my opinion, the United States is important because the United States represents the world coming together after it had already been trying to civilize itself for centuries. The world comes together and thinks through what would be the best thing for people to come together. How would that operate? Democracy, the birth of democracy, that's why it's important, because it holds the principles of democracy. Well, I bring all this up because the United States, in my opinion, is going to be 1 Pluto year old. We are going to have our Pluto return. That happens once every 249 years. Pluto has not returned to the place it was when we were born until our lifetime. It's coming up, and it will be actually on February 3rd, 2022. February 3rd, 2022 is our Pluto return. Now, I've said this before, I've talked about this. I actually believe that by the time Pluto hits Pluto in the return, any damage or hard stuff will be done. When Pluto hits actually a return, everything is done. Pluto shows up to the new subdivision after the tornado has hit and everything's been rebuilt. That's really the timing of Pluto. So you got to actually scale back to 2018 is when things will start to break down for this Pluto return. But it's important to know that 6 years from now, which means if we elect a president, then we will have that president for 2 years, or if we elect a president and it doesn't work, we'll have opportunity to elect another president just in time. But basically, we'll start to see some real need for reconstruction or a re-evolution of our democracy. It's time to take it to a higher level. We've done it for 49 years now. So it's time to look at, well, what worked, what didn't work. Let's upgrade. It's time for an upgrade, basically is what Pluto says. Now, I think this is already happening when you have, on both sides of the politics of the United States, we have, of course, Donald Trump, which represents the anger, also represents conservatism, also represents really the part of America that is financially driven. He's a billionaire, and America is driven by business. It's in our chart. It's part of our karma. And then I think, Bernie Sanders and Hillary Clinton both pushing for some sort of revolution. Hillary, in the sense that she's the first woman, she thinks that's the revolution, and it is. It would be. I would say that would be significant. Bernie Sanders calling for everything to be uprooted. The point is you can see no one is saying keep it the same. We are on countdown. We are 6 years away, and here as we step into Aquarius today, at step 28 in particular, we're kind of starting to set some of the high tones of what Liberty Bells will be ringing in 6 years. And each time we hit Aquarius, next year will be 5 years away, 4 years away, 3 years away, 2 years away, 1 year away. So each Aquarius kind of sets the tone for, hey, what is the re-evolution of this idea? What is the higher form of this idea? What should it be? And I think citizens will come together and discuss. Couple interesting things I want to point out here before I set you on your way to think about. Our Pluto return is in 6 years from now. That's the first thing. The second thing is on our Pluto return, Uranus will be at step 10 Taurus. Now, Uranus usually tells where a lot of the upset is for a nation or for an individual, where the upset will be. So having it in Taurus means the upset will be somewhat financial. So it'll be an issue of manifesting. And what's interesting is the last time Uranus was at step 10 Taurus was actually just before World War II, 1938. In fact, when Hitler actually decided to bring Austria back into Germany without asking anyone, which was basically the first aggression, like, oh, we're taking Austria back. That was Uranus at step 10. So Uranus was saying, hey, we got to upgrade what property is, what Taurus is, what value is. And so, the Nazis took upon themselves to do that. Now, I think in the United States, we started to industrialize and get ready for the possibility of war at that point. I mean, at least, no, we didn't. We were way asleep in 1938. I'm not sure what we were doing. I think maybe Roosevelt was thinking about it. So that's interesting. Uranus will be at step 10 in 2022 when we have our Pluto return. The other thing is Saturn will be at step 15 Aquarius. So Aquarius is where we are now, right? Where everything truly belongs. Based on what? The law of attraction, the heart. Now, I know the Constitution doesn't talk about the heart, so that might be the beginning of the conversation right there. Why aren't we using love-based principles in our lawmaking? I think every human being knows what love is. Every human being, you ask a native in a jungle, do you know what love is? You ask, an Australian, you ask a Brit, you ask anybody. Everyone knows what love is. Everyone. You have to use their language, of course, right? And so I think part of the new language of the new Constitution was that a loving law? Was that a loving idea? Was that a loving thing? If it wasn't a loving thing, maybe it's not good for the people, right? So this is a powerful concept I think may come in. But Saturn at step 15 Aquarius is basically saying, hey, fairness and justice for all. That's pretty much fairness, justice for all is what that means. So we're going to have this hammer hit of fairness and justice for all. We're going to have to be reconstructing finances, and we'll be going through our Pluto return. The last time Saturn was at step 15 Aquarius, actually, kind of interesting, some weird statistics I found. One was March 1992. George W. Bush was president. No, George Bush. George Bush was president. Sorry, that's how brainwashed I am with all this. George Bush was president, and he had said no new taxes, but he had to go back and actually put taxes on. So when Saturn went to step 15, we made taxes fair again in the United States, I guess. I don't know much of that. And prior to that, in 1963, when Saturn was at 15 degrees Aquarius, the CIA was created. Ooh, that's spooky, right? So controlling organizations, spooky. So, the United States is on a countdown for re-evolution, is what I want to put out there. And I think it's fascinating to think about it, put it out, and know that we have changes coming. And the question is, what role do you play in the United States? And when you contemplate your future, if everything does break down and it's going to break through, where will you be? Will you be all right? And what will your role be? Because I bet if you watch this show, you'll have a role. All right, my friends, let's look at the Zen Den and see what the planets have to say. And welcome to the Zen Den. And before we look at the planets and do our affirmation, let's take 3 breaths, connect to our guides, and see if a planet pops into your mind. Okay, and today's affirmation is designed to help you manifest very simply. I decide and commit today to how I shall frequent. I decide and commit today to how I shall frequent. And so it is. I shall frequent this, I shall frequent that. I'm deciding and commitment to how I shall frequent. Or where I shall frequent, if you want to do that way. But it's basically saying that we're going to commit to these frequencies. And I always recommend that you commit to very subtle ones. So, it's like, I'm going to have a Snickers bar every day at noon. No, you could say, I'm going to commit to always give myself a little bit of love every day at noon. Just always this frequency of love. here, and frequency of this here, and frequency of that there. And really we hold those frequencies, we hold that note, and there are times when life is hard during the year that you remember these subtle frequencies and we're brought back to it, we let go of, and we allow ourselves to let go of the burdens of life by being committed to these frequencies. And that's really the innovation and liberation of Aquarius. So one last time to keep it in the mind, I decide and commit to how I shall frequent today. And so it is, because I said so, I thought so. So let's take a look at the overhead projector. And I have to show you that I do have some scribblies on this already because I was already looking at this before we did a take. First of all, we are at step 28, Aquarius. Step 28 adds to a 10, if you don't know. And what that means is I manifest. So what you feel and what you are committed to, 8, will manifest. And that's true. You know, people who don't even understand this, if you're emotionally dedicated to your man or to your company, emotionally dedicated to something, you manifest from those two states of awareness coming together. Emotional dedication brings things together. So you don't even have to know how this works to manifest in the world. Now, Mercury is at step 5. That's the purebred step of Mercury. So our mind is being programmed to where we belong today. As I said earlier, Venus is at step 0. 0 means 0. We are offline. So we're not open to receiving. We're not open to hearing from people. If people insist on being heard today, be like, not today. You can't take the letter. We don't want to add anything to what we're doing. We're manifesting our own stuff today. We don't want any more ingredients in the pot. Now, Mars is at step 22, which adds to a 4. And step 22 means that we are pushing for quantum boundaries. Quantum boundaries means these are probably boundaries you've never done before. You're capable, but you probably haven't done them. So emotional boundaries of like, okay, I can do this, but it might be a little tricky. Yes, exactly. I think everyone, because they're moving out of where they were coming from, some sort of different dimension in life, different frequencies, and moving to new frequencies, you're going to have to create some very innovative boundaries for your feelings. And this is a good segue. The moon. The moon is in Gemini up to step 29 here at 11:21 a.m. Pacific time, and then shifts into Cancer. Moody Cancer. So be advised, those innovative boundaries of Mars at step 22, those innovative boundaries need to be employed. You have to think for your feelings, think ahead for your feelings, be there for yourself, and just make sure everything goes okay, and make sure you're handled well, make sure the baby's taken care of inside of yourself and emotionally well nurtured, and you'll be able to handle whatever. Now, the North Node is at step 22 Virgo, which means, North Node is pretty much the universe or God saying this is the posture to take. The posture is to know how you feel too, in reality, and what you want to feel next. So again, you don't even have to know the magical recipe of manifesting the universe. If you pretty much are in touch with your feelings and in touch with what you want next, you're going to go quantum and find yourself in the right place. So the cool thing about astrology is there's like a lot of ways the universe pulls people in to the change. Sometimes they get caught up in this, sometimes they get caught up in the Mars part, sometimes they're like fully aware, awake, step 28 Aquarius, like manifesting crazy shift. It kind of all depends. Now, what's cool is today is I manifest, which also means I harvest. So we are harvesting now. 6 months ago, when the sun was in Leo and Jupiter was leaving Leo, we had a lot of love and hope and intention, and we've been all trying to manifest love somewhere in our life. We should be finding that love now. That harvest should be coming in. You should be recognizing that love has come in your life, that you have harvested loves in the last 6 months. Be grateful. Remember how you accept and receive with gratitude. So bring in that harvest of love, accept and receive the harvest of love. Hey, you're going to need all that love anyway, so accept and receive it. And that's from the sun opposing the earth. The earth is right here in this little scribble that I made. So can you guess what the planet was that Spirit brought up in my mind? Uranus. And it's funny, and when I first felt Uranus, I was like, of course. Well, first of all, Uranus is kind of the prankster, planet, but we're in Aquarius, and Uranus rules Aquarius. So Spirit told me to talk about Uranus and Aries, and that means that, interesting, I was talking about the United States of America. I was talking about how Uranus was in Taurus. Uranus will be in Taurus when we go through our re-evolution in 2022, right? Well, Uranus is in Aries right now. So we're on approach to this. And before, the world started trying to divide itself up with Uranus and Taurus, Uranus is in Aries, building up the concept of strength. Okay, so what is a man? What is strength? What is and before it was like genetics and science and all sorts of weird stuff we built into strength. Well, the point is people are redefining strength now for themselves, and I believe that many people are defining strength based on their connection to God, their connection to spirit, their connection to their own self, their own spiritual connection. That's the new strength of Aries. That is, for the first time, the re-evolution of humankind, I think, the potential. So try for that frequency as well. Feeling strong because you are empowered by the universe. All right, my friends. I think that's a good place to stop for today. Thank you so much. A couple of things I want to put out there. We are going to be doing Los Angeles Love Fest in El Segundo, California. And I have set up an RSVP form on my website at soulgarden.tv. Click Love Fest. Just no commitment, but just want to know if you're coming and if you're bringing a guest, because we're trying to figure out how much space we should set aside for the group at LA Love Fest, which will be on February 20th around 8 p.m. So we will announce where it's at, but please RSVP. You don't have to commit. We're just getting an idea there for us to understand that. And I do say, if you're interested, we are selling Secrets of Birthdays now at secretbirthdays.com. And if you join seriousjoy.me for 7 days, you get a free Secrets of Birthdays. So just putting that out there. All right, my friends. Well, I'll be at the LA Conscious Life Expo this Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I think about it for a while because we're actually setting up Thursday. So I hope to see you there as well. Come on down and say hello. Otherwise, I will be maybe in your neck of the woods later on this year, and I am so grateful to be a soul service. Remember, I love you, and live, love, be.